There's rapid response from the Hill today after word that one of its most prominent leaders of the Tea Party movement, that's Senator Jim DeMint, who we've been talking about, of South Carolina, is retiring. Joining me now, one of his colleagues, Senator John Barrasso, chairman of the Republican Policy Committee. Now, Chairman, I want to talk to you about the fiscal cliff, but first I want to talk about Jim DeMint. Sure. What does this say about the Senate, about the ability of someone like Jim DeMint, a sort of an avowed conservative, to accomplish what he wants to accomplish within that chamber, that he felt the need or saw the opportunity to step outside of the chamber? What does that say about the folks like yourself who are still within it?
Well, Jim DeMint is going to continue to be a leader in this country for years to come, specifically on conservative issues. He's going to continue to push for ways to cut spending and to limit the size of government, and I welcome that. He's choosing to do it outside now rather than inside the Senate, but he's had a huge positive influence on the Senate, and we're going to continue to see that for years to come.
Senator, this may seem like a simple question, but I wonder, and I think a lot of people do, is the Senate, from your perspective, not asking you to channel Senator DeMint, but from your perspective, is the Senate a difficult place to be? If you are someone who comes from an executive background, or if you're someone who's committed to getting things done, is it a frustrating place to exist day in and day out?
Yeah, well, I would just say to you, Chris, and I saw the article that you wrote a little earlier today, governors who are used to having their own planes and flying around their states and controlling their own schedules do find it more challenging in the Senate. I came from the state Senate in Wyoming. I enjoy the opportunity to work with people on both sides of the aisle to discuss the issues and continue to try to move proposals forward that I believe in. So I believe this is a place where you can make an effective difference in the direction of the country.
Now let's shift to fiscal cliff, and I want to talk to you about what another of your colleagues, Tom Coburn from Oklahoma, had to say on Morning Joe yesterday about what should and should not be in these budget negotiations. Let's play that and we'll come back and talk about it.
I know we have to raise revenue. I don't really care which way we do it. Actually, I would rather see the rates go up than do it the other way, because it gives us greater chance to reform the tax code and broaden the base in the future.
So he would rather see the rates go up than closing loopholes, reforming the tax code, at least at the moment. Do you agree with that stance from Senator Coburn?
What I agree with is that we need increased revenue, but our biggest problem is the spending issue. So revenue is on the table, but our biggest problem as a nation is the spending. We continue to spend too much and borrow too much, and now the president wants an unlimited and unchecked, unauthorized ability to raise the debt ceiling without having Congress involved, even though the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, says the Constitution says it is Congress that makes those decisions. But the bottom line is, whichever way you get it, the president seems fixated on this raising the tax rates. The total money that comes in is just a small drop in the bucket to the size of the deficit from last year alone. It's less than 10% of what we're overspending. We now have $16 trillion in debt on the backs of our children and grandchildren. That is the biggest threat to our national security and to our nation's future.
And, Senator, very quickly, some Republicans have whispered privately and some not so privately that they believe President Obama, the White House, congressional Democrats want to go over the fiscal cliff because they believe that it is more politically advantageous for them to do so. Is that a sentiment you would agree with or not?
Well, I believe that the president and the Democrats see a political victory at the bottom of the fiscal cliff. I see financial problems for our country at the bottom of the fiscal cliff with unemployment over 9% and another recession. And I think I want to find a solution working with people on both sides of the aisle. But when you have Howard Dean, the former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, you have Patty Murray, who ran the Democratic Senatorial Committee, both encouraging us going over the cliff, I think it's irresponsible. I think we ought to have the president sitting down with John Boehner, finding solutions that can, one, pass the House, and two, be signed by the president. And I believe if you find that solution, it will pass the Senate.
Senator John Barrasso, thank you for your time.
Thank you.